And a great, beautiful day to all my wonderful friends out there, all of you light beings shining so bright. We're here doing the lessons of A Course in Miracles on this channel, and today we're going to be doing lesson number 72. Today is also day 11 of my water fast experience here in Costa Rica. Cheers! Okay. More about that later. Let's jump into this lesson. It's a little bit of reading today, so get yourself comfortable and get ready. I did have a pretty cool meditation with this one, so stay tuned to hear about that. Here we go. Lesson number 72. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. While we have recognized that the ego's plan for salvation is the opposite of God's, we have not yet emphasized that it is an active attack on his plan and a deliberate attempt to destroy it. In the attack, God is assigned the attributes which are actually associated with the ego, while the ego appears to take on the attributes of God. The ego's fundamental wish is to replace God. In fact, the ego is the physical embodiment of that wish. For it is that wish that seems to surround the mind with a body, keeping it separate and alone, and unable to reach other minds except through the body that was made to imprison it. The limit on communication cannot be the best means to expand communication. Yet the ego would have you believe that it is. And what I interpret that paragraph to mean is we are incarnated and our vehicle is this body, and essentially the ego has hijacked the whole thing, all of our beliefs about the body, using the body's eyes, what we perceive, and also the ego's in our mind too, with our judgments, resentments, fears, attachments, yada yada yada, all that stuff the ego has a pretty good hold on, and we're mostly unaware of it until we start studying amazing things like the Course in Miracles or any other spiritual path that you're on. When you start waking up to you're more than just your body. Okay, moving on. Although the attempt to keep the limitations that a body would impose is obvious here, it is perhaps not so apparent why holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. But let us consider the kinds of things you are apt to hold grievances for. Are they not always associated with something a body does? A person says something you do not like. He does something that displeases you. He betrays his hostile thoughts in his behavior. You are not dealing here with what the person is. On the contrary, you are exclusively concerned with what he does in a body. You are doing more than failing to help him in freeing him from the body's limitations. You are actively trying to hold him to it by confusing it with him and judging them as one. Herein is God attacked. For if his son is only a body, so must he be as well. A creator wholly unlike his creation is inconceivable. So yeah, that's another good point. If we make everybody here on earth a body as well as ourselves, then God is also a body. And it just moves right into that judgmental father figure who has no mercy and is sitting there disappointed with us all of our lives, which I don't think that's true. If God is a body, what must his plan for salvation be? What could it be but death? In trying to present himself as the author of life and not of death, he is a liar and a deceiver, full of false promises and offering illusions in place of truth. The body's apparent reality makes this view of God quite convincing. In fact, if the body were real, it would be difficult indeed to escape this conclusion. And every grievance that you hold insists that the body is real. It overlooks entirely what your brother is. It reinforces your belief that he is a body and condemns him for it. And it asserts that his salvation must be death, projecting this attack onto God and holding him responsible for it. To this carefully prepared arena, where angry animals seek for prey and mercy cannot enter, the ego comes to save you. God made you a body very well. Let us accept this and be glad. As a body, do not let yourself be deprived of what the body offers. Take the little you can get. God gave you nothing. The body is your only savior. It is the death of God and your salvation. This is the universal belief of the world you see. Some hate the body and try to hurt and mutilate it. Others love the body and try to glorify and exalt it. But while the body stands at the center of your concept of yourself, you are attacking God's plan for salvation and holding your grievances against him and his creation, that you may not hear the voice of truth and welcome it as friend. Your chosen Savior takes his place instead. It is your friend. He, God, is your enemy. Yeah, so again, being here at the water fast, talking to a lot of other people about their habits and cravings and why they're here fasting, what they want to heal, what they want to fix about themselves. Some of it is definitely just at the body level. You know, I want to lose weight. I want to get rid of my allergies. I want to do various things. I feel like, and you know, there's this one man that is here, and if you wear a little ribbon on your shirt, it means you're silent, you don't want to talk. He wears a silent ribbon every day and literally just like covers his face and lies down and goes into relaxation meditation, so we don't get to talk to him. I wonder what his intention is here, but for me, I'm here to establish a loving relationship with my body and to not allow the ego to control all of my, you know, what I think I need to eat, what I think I need to put on me. Oh, this hurts, or this doesn't seem right, let me fix it, you know, because all we tend to do is treat symptoms anyway. But my relationship with my body, I'm really paying attention to the Course in Miracles and acknowledging that I'm not my body. However, this body is a possession that, like it or not, I'm going to have it until my spirit exits this realm. And I want everything that I come in contact with to be an opportunity to show love, express love, expand love, including with the body. So I don't feel like I'm glorifying it or worshiping it, but I certainly want to love it. And what I'm doing here is deeply cleansing it. And it does, so it is like a thing that's separate from me. It's like this machine, and it's got its own wiring. And as I'm drinking water throughout the day and sleeping at night, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. And I'll tell you, well, I don't know, we'll see how long this video goes, but I'm getting some insights on just how efficient the body is when we and our habits get out of the way. All right, here we go, back to this. We will try today to stop these senseless attacks on salvation. We will try to welcome it instead. Your upside down perception has been ruinous to your peace of mind. You have seen yourself in a body and the truth outside you, locked away from your awareness by the body's limitations. Now we are going to try to see this differently. The light of truth is in us, where it was placed by God. It is the body that is outside us and is not our concern. To be without a body is to be in our natural state. To recognize the light of truth in us is to recognize ourselves as we are. To see ourselves as separate from the body is to end the attack on God's plan for salvation and to accept it instead. And wherever his plan is accepted, it is already It is accomplished already. Our goal in the longer practice periods today is to become aware that God's plan for salvation has already been accomplished in us. To achieve this goal, we must replace attack with acceptance. As long as we attack it, we cannot understand what God's plan is for us. We are therefore attacking what we do not recognize. Now we are going to try to lay judgment aside and ask what God's plan is for us. What is salvation, Father? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. Then we will wait in quiet for his answer. We have attacked God's plan for salvation without waiting to hear what it is. We have shouted our grievances so loudly that we have not listened to his voice. We have used our grievances to close our eyes and stop our ears. I see the image of a little child having a tantrum. Now we would see and hear and learn. What is salvation, Father? Ask and you will be answered. Seek and you will find. We are no longer asking the ego what salvation is and where to find it. We are asking it of truth. Be certain then that an answer will be true because of whom you ask. Whenever you feel your confidence wane and your hope of success flicker and go out, repeat your question and your request, remembering that you are asking of the infinite creator of infinity, who created you like himself. What is salvation, Father? I do not know. Tell me that I may understand. He will answer. Be determined to hear. 1 or perhaps 2 shorter practice periods an hour will be enough for today, since they will be somewhat longer than usual. These exercises should begin with this. Holding grievances is an attack on God's plan for salvation. Let me accept it instead. What is salvation, Father? Then wait a minute or so in silence, preferably with your eyes closed, and listen for his answer. And that is our lesson. Let me get a drink. So when I did this meditation this morning, I asked the question and waited a minute, and here comes this vision. So we've all seen these videos of like explanations of how the brain works, and there's these little like synapsy things, or I don't know what they're called, like connections in the brain that are like sending little signals or whatever. So in my meditation, they actually had little like villi or whatever they're called, right? And they were and it was like they were missing each other. So I saw that image, and then I got, but here's the answer. And then they came together and they fused, and they were sort of like in a horizontal stance, and it got kind of like light and strong, and I could tell like it was a good connection. And then it started to turn vertical, and it was like the top one was connected to source, to God, to the universe, to all the wisdom and knowledge, and then the lower one was connected to Earth, or wherever we are in the now moment, right? Like it's connected to our incarnated selves doing our thing. And then it went on to point out to me that the meditation that I did a few days ago, where I was up through the clouds and I went into that cave and I was praying with Jesus, he was saying that is actually the altar of your heart. So we kind of like touch our heart chakra, and we think of it as this sort of physical place, but in reality it's, just a field of energy. And when we locate it on our body, we touch our heart. But your inner altar, the altar of your heart, is not really a physical place, but yet that's where salvation is. So we actually carry it with us all the time, and we have access to it, and it's not through the body. It's certainly not dependent on the body. So that was kind of my answer. Like, where is salvation? Well, it's in the altar of your heart. And then there's this connection with your mind. And this all kind of came to me telepathically or download or whatever. So after I saw the images and I got that explanation that where you went to pray with Jesus was actually the altar of your heart. It was all inside of your being, not your body being, but your, iridescent spirit being. So the next thing was like this understanding about the mind and how the mind is actually everything. And we connect through all that is through the mind. We connect to each other through the mind. We can use the body as a means of, expressing the connection in a physical way, in the lowest density, the lowest level way. But the mind is where all the real union takes place. And so it was sort of like this combination of the altar of your heart. That's where salvation is. Like that is we're plugged into God. Like that whole image of the connection where heaven meets earth, that's your heart. And that is your constant connection to source. It never goes away. No matter how bad you feel or how down on life you are that day, you're still connected to God. And then it's through the mind. It's our perception, our, awareness of how we're seeing things and knowing that everything is unfolding perfectly in God's plan. And it's just our attitude, our incorrect perception, our untrue beliefs that are making us feel bad and making us think we're victims of the world we see. The ego desperately wants us to constantly be in victim status. So it fills our mind with worry, despair, fear, depression, sadness, anger, hatred, jealousy, war, all that stuff is all the ego, which is also in your mind, but you have to start to have the discernment to know that that's what that is. And it may wash over you and you may have physical sensations and feel like crap, like, oh my God, today sucks because I'm dealing with this thing that I'm trying to work through. But know that the plan of God's plan for salvation is perfect. And this thing that you're going through, you're meant to go through. You're meant to just be faced with it, deal with it, let it go, and then move on with a more, brighter stance or lens about you. You staying in darkness does you no good. I see a lot of YouTubers out there talking about how much we need the darkness. And it's like, sure, we can go through tough stuff, but it's like, if you wallow in that and you stay in that, the ego's winning. The ego totally has you. You don't require tons of darkness, okay? It's just not necessary. We're all at this stage of the game. We're at lesson 73 of A Course in Miracles. We don't need to be dragged through the mud and beaten over the head to know that there is this beauty that exists for us if we just learn how to correct our untrue beliefs and believe that God's plan for salvation is already laid out and already happening, and we just need to step towards it. It takes you pulling yourself out of that darkness. So, I don't know. We don't need all that nastiness in life. Like, how many more wars do we need to prove to us something, right? Like, ultimately, it's probably people who hold on to those beliefs that we need darkness. That's why we're still having a lot of problems that we perceive and that we see. But I really believe that as I do my work, that the world around me is going to change, including the landscape of politics and the military forces in the world, and all the problems, hunger and the economy and gas prices. I feel like my practice is going to slowly transform everything, because the lens that I'm seeing everything through is starting to perceive from that altar of my heart, my inner altar, as opposed to my body's eyes and my ego's blah, blah, blah. So let's see. Oh, this video's gone on a bit. I'll save my water fasting story for tomorrow, but take this on today. This is an excellent lesson, you guys. I mean, I really feel like this here is something that we could contemplate on for a month, honestly. But see what comes up in your meditation. Take the time to get quiet and do that. Ask the question and wait a couple minutes with your eyes closed in a peaceful place and see what comes to you. See if it gives you an answer you've been looking for. See if it gives you an image or a glimpse of something. Perhaps there's a problem you feel like you can't solve, or a logistical thing that you're like, I can't figure it out. Maybe you'll find what you need in this meditation today. So good luck to you with that. I love you all very much. Congratulations. We're on lesson 72. We're moving right along. And I will see you back again here tomorrow.